a WikiVidi documentaries production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy. Cloak and Dagger Comics. Cloak and Dagger are a fictional comic book superhero duo appearing in American comic books published by Marvel Comics. They were created by writer Bill Mantlo and artist Ed Hannigan. In April 2016, Marvel Television announced that the duo would appear in their own television series, with Aubrey Joseph and Olivia Holt portraying Johnson and Bowen, respectively. Concept and creation. The inspiration for Cloak and Dagger came to Bill Mantlo after a visit to Ellis Island. He recounted, "They came in the night, when all was silent, and my mind was blank. They came completely conceived as to their powers and attributes, their origin and motivation. They embodied between them all that fear and misery, hunger and longing that had haunted me on Ellis Island." Ed Hannigan, Mantlo's artist collaborator on Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man, recalled that he and Mantlo jointly came up with the character's visual design. "Bill had a short page or two synopsis of the story that he showed me, and we discussed what the characters would look like. He gave me a lot of leeway, but it was fairly obvious that Cloak would be black and have a big animated black cloak and Dagger would be white with a skin-tight leotard type thing. I am not sure, but I think I might have come up with her ballet angle. I put the same kind of amulet/clasp on both costumes and came up with the dagger-shaped cutout on her costume, which was quite daring at the time." Publication history. Cloak and Dagger first appeared in Peter Parker, The Spectacular Spider-Man 4. After a number of additional Spider-Man guest appearances, they were given their own 4-issue limited series, written by creator Bill Mantlo, penciled by Rick Leonardi, and inked by Terry Austin. It debuted in October 1983 and was a success, prompting Marvel Comics to launch an ongoing bi-monthly Cloak and Dagger series in 1985. With the same creative team, costumed supervillains rarely appeared in the series, which focused on Cloak and Dagger's quest to end the drug trade completely, and frequently explored the issue of vigilantism. Leonardi left after issue 1 and was replaced by a series of fill-in pencils. After issue 1, Marvel combined the bi-monthly titles Cloak and Dagger and Doctor Strange into a monthly revival of the double-feature series, Strange Tales. The title change was accompanied by Brett Blevins stepping in as both pencil and inker. Austin would shortly return, but as the series writer this time, Mantlo having ended his run with issue. Though still successful, Cloak and Dagger's sales had been declining for some time, and Marvel's editorial staff felt that a new writer was needed in order to revitalize the characters. Austin immediately introduced Cloak and Dagger's first nemesis, Mr. Jip. In 1988, they starred in Marvel graphic novel 4, Cloak and Dagger, Predator and Prey, which was written by Mantlo before his departure from the series. Strange Tales ran 19 issues before Marvel decided to split Cloak and Dagger and Doctor Strange back into separate bi-monthly titles. Cloak and Dagger, now retitled The Mutant Misadventures of Cloak and Dagger, were, by this point, being written by Austin and penciled by Mike Vosberg. Dagger was rendered blind in the first issue, and her struggles to deal with this new disability were a major theme of the series. Austin did extensive research at the American Foundation for the Blind so he could give an authentic depiction of the physical and psychological impacts of going blind and the coping techniques used by blind people. Both Austin and Vosberg were gone by issue 4. Subsequent issues were variously written by Steve Gerber and or Terry Kavanagh, but sales began to falter and the series was cancelled with issue 9. The pair continued to make numerous appearances as guest stars in titles such as Runaways and the Spider-Man Maximum Carnage story arc, as well as starring in their own adventures in anthology titles like Marvel Comics Presents. Cloak made a solo appearance in issues of the miniseries House of M, as a member of an underground human resistance movement. It was uncertain if Dagger also existed in the altered reality of House of M, as there were no mentions of her during that storyline. They have appeared in various other Marvel universes, in one of which Cloak was killed. Dagger also served as a member of Marvel Knights in a short-running miniseries. It was announced at the 2008 San Diego Comic-Con that the team would be reappearing once again in their own 5-part miniseries by writer Valerie D'Orazio, with pencils by Irene Flores and colors by Emily Warren. They appeared in the Dark Avengers/Uncanny X-Men crossover, Utopia, They're here presented with a chance to have their reputations exonerated and their records sealed, if they join the Dark X-Men, Matt Fraction explained in an interview with Marvel.com. Osborn presents it to them as the ultimate public service, where they can work off their past indiscretions, such as cloak stealings with the Avengers during the Skrull invasion. Fraction claimed the more appealing part of Dark X-Men was to see how Cloak and Dagger react in a real superhero team scenario. During the Secret Wars event of 2015, Noel Stevenson and Sanford Greene created a spin-off series based on Runaways. Origin: Tyrone, Ty, Johnson and Dandy Bowen met in New York City as runaways. Tyrone was a 17-year-old boy from Boston, Massachusetts, with a debilitating stutter and ran away to New York City when his speech impediment prevented him from stopping his friend from being shot by the police, who mistakenly believed he had just robbed the store. Tandy was a 16-year-old girl from a privileged upbringing who ran away because her multi-millionaire supermodel mother was too busy with her career and social life to spend time with her daughter. When they met, Tyrone considered stealing Tan's purse, but before he could, a thief stole the purse and Tyrone retrieved it for her. Afterwards, they had dinner and became fast friends. When naive Tandy accepted an offer of shelter from some strange men, wary Tyrone went along to protect her. The two teens were soon forcibly delivered to criminal chemist Simon Marshall, developing a new synthetic heroin for Sylvemain and the Magyar, testing it on runaway teens with fatal results. Johnson and Bowen somehow survived injections of the drug, and they fled. During their escape, the drug turned them into superpowered beings. Tyrone found himself engulfed in darkness and seized by a strange hunger that eased in the presence of Dandy glowing with a brilliant light. Trying to hide his newly shadowy appearance in a makeshift cloak, Tyrone began absorbing Marshall's thugs into his darkness while Dandy struck them down with daggers of light. The two teens dubbed themselves Cloak and Dagger, and declared war on drug crime in combating drug dealers and helping runaway children. They were aided by a local priest named Father Delgado, and a detective named Bridget O'Reilly, who later on becomes the Vigilante Mayhem. During Cloak and Dagger's travels around the world, Dagger was briefly reunited with her father, who had become a type of a guru in India. He had developed an ability to manipulate his personal light, just as Tandy did. However, he used it as a form of control over others to increase his own power, to the point of seemingly killing Ty, who had interfered with his plan. Cloak and Dagger opposed him and he flung himself into Cloak's portal. Later it was revealed that during this time, Despair had manipulated these events from behind the scenes. War on drugs and other heroes. Cloak and Dagger became vigilantes and hunted and killed Simon Marshall and his drug-dealing henchmen responsible for activating their powers. They first encountered Spider-Man during these events. They next murdered Sylvemain in revenge, and battled his reanimated cyborg form. They next teamed with Spider-Man to thwart the Punisher's murder attempt on the Kingpin. When their activities became too damaging for the illegal drug trade, some dealers kidnapped members of the New Mutants and tried to control them by injecting them with a drug similar to that which gave the duo their powers. For a time, they lost their powers to the heroes Sunspot and Wolfsbane, but they cooperated in retrieving them when it was learned the others were not handling it well. Cloak and Dagger saved them with Spider-Man, but turned down an offer to join the X-Men's School for Gifted Youngsters. Cloak and Dagger battled Sylvemain and the Answer. Kingpin wanted Dagger to help heal his wife, but Dagger refused to help him. Cloak and Dagger befriended the superpowered preteens Power Pack and twice aided the New Mutants, junior trainees of the X-Men. The duo eventually learned they were mutants themselves, which is also the reason why they were the only test subjects to survive the administration of the drug in the first place. Though they tend to target ordinary street criminals, they have faced such diverse foes as Dr. Doom, the Beyonder, Vermin, the Zapper, the Disciplinarian, the Warlord of Kampuchea, Mephisto, Thanos, the Assembly of Evil, Firebrand, and Lightmaster. Cloak and Dagger encountered the Beyonder during Secret Wars 2. They also encountered Mayhem, a police officer who had gained powers from illegal drugs similarly to what had been done to them. They next encountered Dr. Doom in Latveria. Alongside Doctor Strange, they battled Ecstasy. They were used in Nightmare's plot to defeat Doctor Strange. They battled Mr. Jip, and Night and Day. They also encountered Power Pack again. Dagger was later possessed by a knight, and battled X-Factor, and lost her sight temporarily. Cloak and Dagger battled Hydra Man, the Second Jester, the Hulk android, Rock, and Fenris alongside the Avengers. Dagger later regained her sight, and helped defeat Mr. Jip. Cloak later unknowingly met his twin sister. Cloak and Dagger later battled Spare, learning that he gave them their dark form and light form, which had been pieces of his soul, which interfered with their natural mutations. Dagger was one of the 7 brides selected for the Serpent God set in the Atlantis Attacks crossover storyline. The other 6 being Jean Grey, the Invisible Woman, Andromeda, She-Hulk, Storm, and the Scarlet Witch. Cloak and Dagger played a small part in the Infinity Gauntlet saga. When Thanos used the power of the Infinity Gauntlet to sacrifice half of the population of the universe to death, Dagger was among the superheroes that vanished. Cloak answered the summons of Adam Warlock to join a task force of the remaining superheroes to fight Thanos. During the assault on Thanos by the assembled team, Cloak managed to pull Thanos into the Dark Force dimension, but was killed when Thanos released a massive amount of energy from within him. All that was left were pieces of his cloak. His life was restored after most of the events were undone by Nebula after she seized the Infinity Gauntlet. The two tended to live in churches, supported by friends and priests. Cloak has run away many times, not understanding that Dagger is fully willing to use her light power to satisfy his darkness. Cloak and Dagger are devoted to each other, but Dagger often wants more from life. While on an international case, Tandy performed with Eurocircus Lady Light and shared a romance with a supposed stowaway on a drug boat. Eventually he was exposed as a criminal, but ultimately sacrificed himself to save Dagger. Tandy found new friends in the New Warriors who teamed with Cloak, Dagger, and other heroes to defeat the Shadow Lunatic Darkling. She also joined the team for a brief period, leading to further tension with Cloak. Maximum Carnage. Cloak and Dagger teamed with Spider-Man, Captain America, Black Cat, Nightwatch, Iron Fist, Deathlock, Morbius, Venom, and Firestar to halt a murderous supervillain rampage led by serial killer Carnage. Dagger was supposedly killed by Shriek while saving an injured Spider-Man, but was later revealed to be severely wounded and recuperating within Cloak's shroud, and was the key instrument in breaking up the Carnage family. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Would you like to know more?